CAD Clinic is open, no appointment needed. Today we're taking a transmission shaft from sketch to drawing, so stay tuned. All right, so today on CAD Clinic episode 4, we're going to be doing a transmission shaft submitted to us by a user. And this one is a little bit different. It's kind of a big project, overarching project they're working on, and they need some assistance. So we're going to jump into Onshape and we'll take a look. One of the key things they were asking for is we'll do that. There we go. Is that they wanted to be able to know how to draw this thing, but also how to turn this from a print into a drawing. And it looks like they've kind of done this already themselves, but they want to do this using only the Onshape platform. They have to talk about how it's being used for heat treatment, how the type of different metals or the different type of metal it's going to be using, and they want to know how to do that while using the block that's there. So I'm going to kind of show that as well today. Pretty straightforward part. We are going to have to change things to millimeters. And if we look, it is pretty symmetrical. So that's not going to be a hard thing to do. I think the way I kind of want to draw it is as a very simple, like a revolute. And then it looks like she needs a keyway, but that keyway needs to be on the side. So we're going to try to show her how to do that. And based off of the keyway, it looks like it's not. Yeah, it looks like the drawing might have not updated right, or they didn't do quite the right views they wanted. But here's our keyway we see right here, and it looks like it only needs to go 35, but on this it looks like it goes the full length. So I think I'm going to follow with what this says, and I'll show you how to change that either way. And it looks like here in this drawing, the isometric view, it looks like it does kind of go through a little bit deeper. But I'm going to kind of base it off of just this chunk right here and show you how to get these views based off of what we draw here. And I'm pretty sure you'll be able to figure it out from there. So let's go ahead and jump on into our part studio and we will get started. All right, again, first thing I said I wanted to do is change my units. So I'm going to go workspace units and change those to millimeters. We'll go ahead and change the default unit to grams while we're at it for the weight. Next thing we're going to do is start that sketch, and that sketch needs to be on the front plane for how I'm going to do this. Shift and S, N to normalize, and P to hide my planes. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with a midpoint line, but I'm going to make that a construction line, and that is going to go our full length. So if I go here and I go straight out, I'm going to say 240 millimeters, and we are good there. Next thing I want to do is I'm going to go up with a line. And what's cool when you do kind of a center point line or like a center line, you can use dimensions in a different way. So I'm going to show you this. So I'm just going to kind of draw that piece. I'm going to go over, and I'm not going to dimension anything until I get my overall shape. So I'm just kind of drawing what it's going to look like. And actually what's nice here, oh no, it's not completely symmetrical. So it's symmetrical around, but it's not all the way. So we'll go here, we'll drop down. Oh no, it is symmetrical completely. So what I can do here actually is make these 2 points be vertical to one another. And now I only have to do half the work. So I can say, hey, the dimension from here, and if I cross and I click my line here and cross over, you'll see I can stop there and get my half. If I go over, it'll give me my full diameter. And so there I need 30 millimeters. And then my next part here is going to be 60. And then my part here is also going to be 60 because we need that to be 120 to the other side. And now I can go here, dimension from here to here over the top needs to be 40. And that's pretty much it for our shape, our basic shape. Um, by doing so, that allows us to do what we need to. I could add my radii right now, but I think I'm gonna wait until we actually turn this 3D. So next we can mirror this over. So I'm gonna mirror over my plane here, and I'm gonna select all of this, and then I'm gonna continue. I'm gonna draw a line all the way. That is a regular line, so it's a closed polygon. If I leave that as a construction, it will not do that. Now, another option you could do is just click that line and press Q, and that'll do the same thing. I know some people like having that construction line still there. For me, it kind of works either way. It just depends on what you got going on. So next, we're going to do revolve. So I'll do Shift and W. It auto selects my shape if I'm already in a sketch. And my revolve axis, I'm going to pick that center line right there and say accept. And we now have our shaft. Okay. Now, a couple of things to notice if we switch back over to our drawing. We look here. I have my radius of 2 here and here, but it does not tell me what my radius is on those ends. I'm just going to guess. I'm thinking everything's probably 2. So we'll go ahead and fillet all of these. And so to set this up for a way, let's say I did check my notes and it looks like she wants all of the fillets at a radius of 2. But let's say that they were different. I'm going to show you how to set this up a little bit different. So we'll do our fillets, and we know that it is right here and right here. Both need to be 2 millimeters. So we can accept that like so. On the drawing, it's kind of pointing at this edge right here. So I don't know if she's going to need that there, but it looks like it's kind of pointing there. However, it doesn't. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and put it there as well. So if we go back to our fillet, I can click those like such. There we go. At 2, and then it looks like these are as well. So I could have added those there, but I want to show you how to show that again. So maybe I want these to be a different radius. So I'm going to click here and here on the shaft. Maybe those needed to be like 8 or whatever. So 8 millimeters. Oh, that's a little too big. Maybe we'll go 3 millimeters instead. There we go. And so maybe that's what she wanted. That would be kind of how I would do that. However, looking at that drawing, I don't think it's quite a fillet. It looks to me more like a chamfer. So I would go ahead and click there, and based off of it, now let's make that 2, enter. I'm going to go ahead and fillet those corners. There we go. That's probably what we were looking for there, is a chamfer, not a fillet, on those edges. And so now we have our fillets that live here and our chamfers that live there. Now, a couple of things to know too is if you take a look over here with me, anytime I hover over a different like feature over here in our feature tree, notice that it'll show me what it does to my model. So there's my chamfers, there's my fillets, and there's my revolve. Now, also with that in mind is if I go and I do the opposite and I click on that chamfer, it'll show me where that's edited at. So a good thing to do is kind of name your features. Maybe I had like shaft fillets and I had like outer fillets or whatever. I would kind of put those in that spot there. But we're looking pretty good so far. So next thing we need to do is we need to go to the top view. Okay. And this is where things get kind of wonky. So in her drawing, she told us that she wanted this to live kind of 4 down from the top. And so this is where it gets a little tricky. So I'm going to turn my planes back on. And we know that if we go back to our sketch, our drawing to the center is going to be to our origin is going to be 20, right? If we measure from our center to here, I get a measurement of, come on. Man, it does not want to work today. Come on. There we go. So I got 15 to there, but to the top of my piece, I got 20. So if we go from here and we subtract our 4 from that 15, I'm going to need to start a plane that is offset from here up 11. So 15 minus 4 gives us that 11. So if we do that, I can say, oh, come on, you're going really slow today.
A few moments later.
All right, we are back. It was not loading for some reason. I feel like every time I try to do this, Onshape decides to update. So what we're going to do now, like we said, we're going to go from this plane and we're going to offset by 11 inches. So we're going to do a offset plane, or 11 inches, 11 millimeters, sorry, 11 millimeters, and we'll say okay. And you'll see that we're going to be drawing 4 millimeters below the surface right here. So we'll say okay. And she wants that on the upside of the right side. So now we're going to draw a sketch on that plane, Shift and N. And we are on plane 1, so we can hide this now. And I'm just going to draw it looks like it needs to be a slot. So what we're going to do is we're going to track out from here. That slot needs to be 35 millimeters, okay? And what's nice is now I can just kind of move this guy wherever I want, and it'll stay on that deal. So, and that center of that needs to be 10 millimeters from the end face. So I'm going to go here and say, hey, 10 millimeters. Next, I'm going to take our slot tool, select my slot, and it needs to be 8 inches or 8 millimeters in diameter. So 8 diameter, and we'll say accept. And then now I can just extrude that out, and I can remove, and I want that to go up. And so I could change that depth to 4 millimeters, which is what we need it to be. But because we placed our plane 4 millimeters below that surface, we're going to be all right there. So we don't really need to change that. But I kind of like to have that like such. Now what's going to make this better for the future? Maybe I want to hand this off to somebody else. And I know that's kind of what she was saying. So like I would rename this keyway sketch. And rename this to keyway cut extrude. And then that plane 1 could be called keyway depth. And what'll future proof that for me is because I've made that at the 4 millimeters, on my extrude I can change this from a blind just a through all, and so it's always going to go until it runs out. So if I were to change this keyway depth, let's say I change this to, instead of doing the 15 minus 4 to get me that 11, what if it was 15 minus 8? And you'll see, we'll say okay, and you'll see that that is now deeper without me having to go in and reassign everything. So I think that's kind of what we're going to do there for naming purposes. I'm going to go change that back to 15 minus the 4 based off of what we were talking about. Um, yeah, and so that's pretty much that shape. Now, how do you show cross sections and how do you get it into an assembly and show, or as a drawing, not an assembly, sorry. How do you get into it a drawing and then print that guy out? Okay, I think the hardest thing to understand for users when you first start Onshape is that a drawing, we've been drawing this whole time, right? But this is not a drawing. This is kind of we're modeling is the easiest way to put it. And when we turn it into a drawing, that turns it into a 2D print that we're able to pass out for somebody else to then recreate that 3D model. So it was hard for me to. I've called it all drawings forever. So you're going to go insert new tab, and you can do create a drawing. The other thing you can do is just right click on your part and click create drawing of part one. So I'm going to start with um, the other, because I don't use, there we go, the ANSI millimeters on the A print. And you can do 4 views to start. Personally, I like doing no views, but I'll kind of show you what both does. So here is 4 views. It'll automatically place your views. Um, why I don't like this is because I like to move stuff around and show kind of what's going on, and place my own views. And sometimes I like my isometric view just as like a visual aid, not necessarily to like pull anything from. And I like that one to be smaller than the rest of the prints. Um, and so it kind of automatically puts everything in with parent views and whatnot. So if you're in a hurry and you need to just show somebody something, 4 views is the way to go. Um, but I like to do it like this. So I go right click, create drawing of part one, and I'm going to say no views. And the first view I'm going to put in is going to be my top view. So when it says insert view, it gives you this window. I say I want a top view. I'm going to try to make it match her picture as best as possible. And I start playing with the scale. So maybe like 1 to 2. Let's see what 1 to 1 looks like. If I had a bigger piece of paper and I didn't have as much information to give, this would be pretty cool. But I'm going to give it a 1 to 2. You can also give it like, hey, maybe I want like 1 to 1.5, 1 to 1.5. And you can type that in. Okay. So there's that for us. I'm going to place that one just like so. And then before I do it again, so I can come down and give it a side view, which for this isn't really necessary unless you're going to show how deep that keyway goes. And I think that's kind of what she wanted in that longitudinal view. Um, so we'll show that here in a bit. But if I go over to the side, there's my lateral view, so I can go ahead and put that there. And then if I want to insert another view, I could click off of there, and I could see from the top. I could see kind of a little bit of everything. So I'm going to move some stuff around. And what is nice, but also kind of sucks sometimes, is that these things move together. So if I move one, the other one moves. If I move another one, the other one moves. They work with one another. And when you're doing drafting, you want that. But sometimes you want to cram as much as you can on a um, on a page, right? And so what it's going to show you is kind of what you got going on, and it's going to align everything, but you can shut that off. So I can go double click, and I can say synchronize breaks from parent or suppress alignment with parent. So I can go suppress alignment, and now as I move it, suppress alignment, it's not going to be aligned anymore with that parent view. Okay, now another thing I can do is I can change my view. So maybe I didn't want the right view, I wanted the left view. And you'll see it now also changes that view there. So you kind of got to toy with it and figure out what you want. It looks like the only thing that's showing me is that the outside is 30, but it doesn't show the inside view. So I don't really know what you're gaining from that view other than the fact that you have to do it for an assignment. Um, you can add your view labels. You could add scale labels. You could add your sketch appearances. I would just click on all these buttons and see what works for you. Um, see what is going to, let's do that guy. Make your, there we go. So now you can go ahead and insert your own however you want. So this is where I go insert. I'm going to do an ISO view. And I like having that like a little smaller, 1:4 maybe. And we'll say okay. I'll put that up here in the corner. And then what I like to do is if I right click on this and you click show or hide, you can see all these different ways you can do this. So like, I'll go here, there we go. Let me move this so we can see that better. So show or hide, you have show hidden lines, you have show shaded view, hide thread, show faulty part, show or hide sketches. I like doing show hidden lines, but also show shaded view. I like shaded view for my ISO views, so it gives it kind of that color. Um, Now here, if I had some other holes or something, or I'll show you from a side profile, if I did this way, and I wanted this to now show me the hidden lines, you'll see I'll get my cutout like so. So this is kind of messing with the views, showing you all that. But what's really cool is you can show very simply how to add some dimensions very, very quickly. So I can go here, D for dimension, and I just start clicking around. So to match what she has, I'm going to click everywhere she's got. So bam, bam, and it's going to show me 40. I'm going to do the same thing here, and that's going to show me 30. I can go from end to end, get my 60. Again, from end to end, 120. From here to here, another 60. And last but not least, I could go underneath. I guess I would do my big 240 up top up there. So from end to end, 240. I could show one of the radii. And then what's cool is if you double click on it, you can make notes and you can say all edges radius of 2. And you click OK. So now it'll show it. Or because we did a chamfer on the other side, you can just do the number. So let's see, if we counted, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you could say from a 2D view, it's 8. I guess from a feature standpoint, it's 4. So you could do 4 times radius of 2. And that's showing you that that's how many times that's going to pop up. And then now we can do here. Now what's cool is I can still do my dimensions and show kind of like all my dimensions here, but it gets kind of clunky really quick. But what you are able to do is you can show some detailed views. So if I want to show this area right here just for the keyway, because maybe this is going to the person who has to do that, I can draw a rectangle or I can pick my shape freeform. I like rectangle for this. I can come in here and just do this. And I can bring that view down here and say detail A and give it the dimensions here now and say, hey, from here to here, That's 35 center to center, and the center of that is 10 millimeters away. This is 8 millimeters wide. And then in here you can take some notes, and you can say slot depth, or keyway, I guess. Keyway depth is 4 millimeters. Okay, so you can say that. All right, so we're going to click this section view button, and we're just going to click. So if I want it a horizontal section, or I guess I got a vertical selection, I could say like such, and it'll give me that view. If I wanted it to be a horizontal section, I would need to click from here. I could do it like such. This doesn't really show much on this design, but that's how you would go about doing it. I think the one you're looking for is probably your vertical cut, maybe here. And then that way you get your key. We can move this guy over. And you'll see now I'm running out of space, right? I have moved a bunch of stuff around. I have some things that are kind of necessary, but I have this part hanging off the end. What you can do here is you can now do a break view, and you can actually get rid of what you don't need. So if I want to cut here and here, I can change my gap to maybe only 0.125, or maybe I want it to be, I don't know, give about an inch so we know what we're dealing with. And say okay. And then you can even move that after the fact as well. So I can bring this over and say, hey, I broke that rest of that section down, but so you can look, and we can see this from there. This is what we got going on. I have most of the views. The only one I don't have is this lateral view, and I think I'm going to leave that for you to kind of figure out which way you want to do it, how you want to go about it. But what's cool is you'll see it automatically throws your name on there, and it shows the date. Now you can change this, but here you can add material. So I believe in our message, let me check, you said that it needs to be, you said you were going to make it out of AISI 1045. So right here you would say AISI 1045. And just like any text box, you can change the font, you can bold it, you can increase your font size, you can do whatever you need to. So we could say that's okay there. You have your scale built in. Now you'd have to figure out your weight by adding that, doing the calculation and adding that material beforehand. But you could add your part here, part name. So this would be transmission shaft, and you literally just click and do what you need to. And I think the last thing you said was talking about heat treating requirements. So you could add a note, and the easiest way to do that is literally just click the A up here, this button, and then click like to drag down below, and you say needs or requires You said 56 HRC heat treatment. And then you can go in depth however you wanted to do that, depending on what's needed. But also, and I think this is one thing that took me a long time to realize, over here, this multi-page button, you can click the sheets and you can add another sheet. So I used to draw, I can't tell you how many times I would draw like all the views, and I would do another drawing and another drawing and another drawing. I could have kept it all in the same PDF. And then at the end, I would take all those and I would compile them to one big PDF. And then it would take forever for me to compile them and organize them and change them. I could have just done it all here and had no idea that I was able to do that. So, real quick way, you just click the little plus sign up here and you have a whole nother drawing under the same parameters. And now you can even show, so maybe you wanted to show that full view, and I wanted to show, we'll do top view, and I want to show this thing as big as I can because you're going to do multi-prints now, right? So I'm going to go 1-to-1. I'm going to make this thing as big as I can on the paper. Well, now I have a full 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper that I can draw this guy on and give it those dimensions, right? Instead of trying to force it all into one. So I'm able to do that. And same thing, I can still go dimension, come in here and give it what it needs and go according. Now, I know this isn't the greatest like drawing lessons because this is a whole other series I need to work on by itself. But I think for what you're looking at, I think this might do. And then all you need to do is right click. I would rename it first, but you click export and you can do it as a DXF, DWG, PDF, DWT, SVG, pretty much whatever you want, whatever program you're trying to send it to, or whatever kind of thing the person you are sending it to is going to use. It's able to be done here. So hopefully that helped you. That's going to do it for us today. I know it was kind of all over the place, a little wonky, but I'm hoping that this is helping you get in the right direction. And if this is something that you guys are more interested in, you want to learn more of this print drawing side, leave me a comment down below and let me know. And we will go from there. I know a lot of teachers in the groups and the people that I've interacted with that are teaching want to know how to do this. And I feel like once I show them a little bit, they take off and they run with it. And so I feel like it doesn't need a whole series, but obviously if people are asking for it, it probably needs to be done. So again, thank you guys so much. I will see you guys next week. Take care.